Hello everyone and welcome back to Torah Clicks, where I try to give you something worthwhile to click on, especially in these days of quarantine, everybody spending so much time at home. It's nice to have something productive to do. So I'm continuing my Shiur in Mesillas Yesharim, which going forward I'm going to try to do it a little bit more often than I've been doing it. When you delay in between shiurim like this, I realize that we lose a certain amount of continuity, so I'm going to try to do it a little bit more often. So I'm holding in the preface, in the Hakdama of the Ramchal to the Mesillas Yesharim, which is something that we've said many times. Even though it's called a preface, it's called a Hakdama to the Mesillas Yesharim. It is very much a primary part of the Mesillas Yesharim. There are a lot of Yesodais, a lot of foundation work that is covered here in the Hakdama, that the concepts carry through the entire Sefer. So the Mesillas Yesharim, the Ramchal, has been discussing how critical it is for people to spend time on Libud HaMusar, and he's trying to make the argument, he's trying to persuade us and show us how critical it is that we have to spend time thinking about Yerushalayim, thinking about Ahavas Hashem, thinking about what it takes to be a true Oved Hashem, and how it's necessary to learn these things. And just like any other body of halacha, the example that I've given in the past, because I'm in the middle of saying Shiur and Hilchos Pesach, everybody understands that they're not going to know all of the halachas of baking matzah. Everybody understands that he's not going to know all of the halachas, all of the laws of tefillin. Everybody understands he's not going to know all of the laws of Hilchos Shabbos without learning them. There's nobody out there who's going to say to himself, I'm a Pesach in Hilchos Shabbos, it's just innate in my nature. I was born a Pesach in Hilchos Shabbos. Everybody understands, if they want to really understand Hilchos Shabbos, they have to learn Hilchos Shabbos. And the truth is, it's like the Chavetz Chaim says in his Hakdama to Chelik Gimel of the Mishnah Berurah, in his Hakdama to Hilchos Shabbos in the Mishnah Berurah, he writes, it's critical for everybody to learn Hilchos Shabbos. Shabbos comes every 7 days, right? A Fruma Yid is definitely a Shomer Shabbos. He has to keep Shabbos. Says the Chavetz Chaim, you should know you're not going to be Shomer Shabbos if you don't learn Hilchos Shabbos. At least on some level. Not everybody is going to learn Hilchos Shabbos to become a Pesach in Hilchos Shabbos, but at least take out a Kitzur Shulchan Aruch and learn Hilchos Shabbos in the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch, or buy one of the fine, wonderful English Svarim that there are available on the market now. Buy Reb Simcha Bunim Cohen's books. Buy some of the other books that are available in Hilchos Shabbos to have a basic understanding of Hilchos Shabbos. Otherwise, you're not going to know Hilchos Shabbos. And if you don't know Hilchos Shabbos, as much as you think you're being Mekayim Hilchos Shabbos, unfortunately, you probably are not. But in the context of the Ramchal, of the Mesillas Yesharim, the same thing is true when it comes to Yerushalayim. You're not going to be a Yerei Shamayim. You're not going to have true fear of heaven. You're not going to have a true appreciation of what it means to be an Oved Hashem, to what it really means to serve the Ribbono Shel Olam, and to fulfill your tafkid, your purpose in this world. You were put here in this world for a reason. You were put here in this world with a tafkid. You have a job to fulfill. You have something before your days on this world are up. There's something that you need to accomplish. There are things that you need to do. And when you come up to Shamayim, they're going to judge you on it. And you're not going to have a true understanding of Yerushalayim. You're not going to have a true understanding of Ahavas Hashem. You're not going to have a true understanding of Avodas Hashem. You're not even going to have a true understanding of Tefillah, of what it means to daven to the Ribbono Shel Olam, without spending time on learning these things. So now we continue in the Mesillas Yesharim, in the Hakdama. I'm up to the paragraph over here that begins, V'kevan shekfar his ames. Says the Ramchal, V'kevan shekfar his ames eitzel kol chacham. Since it's already accepted as true by any person of intellect, any person who has intelligence will accept as a truism, tzarich timimus ha'avodah, the need for his avodas Hashem, the need for his performance of mitzvahs to be done properly. Timimus means complete. So literally it means here, tzarich timimus ha'avodah, the need for a person's avodah to be complete. What's a person's avodah? A person's avodah is his shmiras hamitzvahs. A person does mitzvahs. Mitzvahs could be done in very different ways. You have what the Rishiv Zatzal, Rav Moshe Zecher Tzaddik V'Kol Shel V'Racha used to call a kalta mitzvah. a cold mitzvah. Somebody puts on tefillin, he takes his tefillin in the morning, he puts it on his head, he doesn't think about what he's doing, he doesn't think about why he's doing it, he doesn't even realize and acknowledge the fact that the reason he's doing it is to be Oved Hashem. The reason he's doing it is because it's 8 o'clock in the morning and he goes to an 8 o'clock minyan, and 8 o'clock in the morning he puts on tefillin. That's what he did yesterday, that's what he did 2 days before, that's what he does today. So is that Tamimos HaAvodah? Is that complete Avodah? Is that complete performance of mitzvahs? No. So the Ramchal says over here, Kvar his ames eitzel kol chacham. It should already be accepted as true by any person of intelligence. Tzorich Tamimos HaAvodah. The need for a person's avodah to be complete, to be on a much higher level than that. V'chayvas taharasa v'nikyona. And also the obligation that the avodah should be pure and it should be clean. Exactly what are these lashonos over here? What's the meaning of this? That your avodah should be pure and it should be clean. So again, there's many levels that avodas Hashem could be done on. But let me just continue a little bit with his words before we go into this. So first of all, the Ramchal says that this should already be accepted by anybody of intelligence. Now, is this really true? I ask you, there are many intelligent people out there. Does every person of intelligence accept as a given that he has a need, that his avodas Hashem should be tamim, it should be complete, that every mitzvah that he does should be done in the completely proper way, cross all the T's, dot all the I's in halacha, make sure that everything is done completely properly, and chayvas taharasa v'nikyana, and that should be done purely and cleanly with all the proper machashavos, with all the proper thought processes. Does everybody accept this as a truism? I think some people are probably waffling. I'm not sure. Just because you have intelligence, you right away accept that as a given. But the truth is, the answer is yes. Every person of intelligence would accept this as a truism if you stop them, get into a conversation with them, discuss it with them, and make them think about it. Once a person starts to think about it, he says, wait a second. Do you realize that there's a Rabbeinu Shalom who created you? Do you realize that there's a Rabbeinu Shalom who's a Barei Olam who created the world and everything in it? Do you realize that there's a Barei Olam who gives you everything that you have? You know, nowadays with this COVID-19 going on, there's a new appreciation for every breath that you take. So, do you realize every breath that you take is because the Rabbeinu Shalom gave you the ability to breathe? Every penny or shekel of parnasa that you have is because the Rabbeinu Shalom gave you parnasa. Every drop of food that you eat is because the Rabbeinu Shalom gave you food to eat. Every second that you are sustained on this world is because the Rabbeinu Shalom gave you another second on this world. Every drop of nachas that you have from your family is because the Rabbeinu Shalom gifted you a family. Everything that you have and all that you are is because the Rabbeinu Shalom gave it to you and ordained it that way. What did the Rabbeinu Shalom do it for? Why are you here? It has to be for a reason. You're here for something. You owe a tremendous debt to the Barei Olam. He gave you a Torah Hagdosha. He gave you Taryag mitzvahs. He told you things that he wants you to do. He told you ways that he wants you to live. So obviously there's a tzorich tamimas ha'avodah. Obviously you have an obligation that you need to fulfill. As long as you don't think about it, like the Ramchal has said until now, these are things that people don't think about because they're so obvious. People don't think of it. Once you start to think about it, you realize as long as you have an intellect, as long as you're not mentally deficient, you have to come to the realization that yes, I have a purpose, I have an obligation to Barei Olam, there are things that I need to do, and I have to do them to the best of my ability. Tzarich tamimas ha'avodah, v'chayvas ta'arasa v'nikyana. So yes, this should be accepted as a truism by every person of intellect. This should be accepted as a truism. Now, The Ramchal says that your avodah, not only you need tmimus ha'avodah, which I translated as, it means that your avodah should be perfect, meaning kahalacha. When you sit in a sukkah, you have to make sure that it's a proper sukkah. You can't ignore a third of Hilchas Sukkah when you build a sukkah and say, well, I did enough. I come on, I put up something on my porch. No, it's got to be a sukkah kahalacha. You put on tefillin. Your tefillin have to be checked when your tefillin are supposed to be checked, and they have to be good tefillin. They have to be kosher tefillin. Shabbos. Every 7 days comes Shabbos. You have to keep Shabbos kahalacha. You can't skimp on Hilchas Shabbos. You have to keep Shabbos kahalacha. Then he said, "V'chayvas taharasav v'nikyoina." Also, your avodah has to be tahar. It has to be pure. And nikyoina, it has to be clean. We'll discuss this more in a moment. But the Ramchal continues and he says, "Shezulas eile." Without this, without you striving for your avodah to be tamim, to be complete, and without you striving for your avodah to be tahar, to be pure, and to be naki, and to be clean, shezulas eile eina nirtzas vadai klal. If that's not your goal, if that's not what you're striving for, if that's not the avodah that you're doing, then this avodah is certainly not going to be pleasing in the eyes of the Rebbeinu Shalom at all. Ela nemeses mesueves. Adarabah. It'll be repulsive to the Rebbeinu Shalom. Why will it be repulsive to the Rebbeinu Shalom? Because kichol levava yisdeiresh Hashem. Because Hashem searches out what's in the heart of every man. V'chol yetzer machshavos hu mevin. And the Rebbeinu Shalom understands that everything that you do is a product of your thoughts. The Rebbeinu Shalom understands the motives behind everything that you do. The Rebbeinu Shalom understands why you do everything. There's nothing hidden from the Rebbeinu Shalom. So I like to give a mashal. Let's say there's a melech, there's a king. And the king has a servant. And the servant serves the king very, very well. It's a trusted aide to the king, who always serves the king very, very well. The king says, I'm a little bit in the mood of a coffee. Boom! There's a nice, steaming, hot, fresh brewed cup of coffee, French vanilla, hazelnut, exactly what the king likes. Right away it appears next to him on the table. The king is feeling a little bit cold. Right away he's there with a 3-ply cashmere sweater. The king is feeling a little bit hot. Right away there's an ice cold drink and the air conditioner is turned on. This is wonderful. The king says, look what a wonderful servant I have. Now the king is not a mind reader. So the king doesn't know what's going on in the mind of his servant. Now let's say the king suddenly got a window into the mind of his servant. And he says, I could use a coffee. And right away he sees the servant go bustling out of the room, and he hears the Keurig turn on, and the coffee is on the way. But now he sees into the mind of the servant. And what he sees is, he says, oh, boy, now I got to jump up and I got to go get a coffee because the king suddenly decided he's in the mood of a coffee. He could have asked me for a coffee 15 minutes ago when I was making my own coffee and I was already making coffee. But no, he has to disturb me now in the middle of whatever I'm doing, and now I got to jump up and I got to go run and get the coffee. But I'm going to get the coffee because the truth is that this rotten king, listen, as long as I serve him well, he thinks I'm his most wonderful, trusted servant. He takes care of me, takes care of my family. I drive a nice car. So every time I get that coffee, I have a picture of that Jaguar in my mind. King snaps his finger, coffee. I'm thinking Jaguar. The king says, I'm cold. And he runs up to get the sweater. And he says, boy, the guy's thinking, I wish that sweater would get eaten up by moths. I can't take it. This king, he can't make up his mind if he's cold, if he's hot. Now I'm going to picture in my mind Jaguar. Or I'm going to picture in my mind vacation on the beach. Whatever it is that I have to keep in my mind to keep my service to the king going. Is the servant's service to the king as pleasant now as it was before? No. Now to the king it's nemeses and mesueves. He would rather get rid of this servant. He would rather have another servant who doesn't jump up as quick, and he would rather wait a little bit longer for the coffee, but have somebody who serves him because he truly loves him. Let's remember that the Rebbeinu Shalom is the Chol Levava Yisdeiresh Hashem V'chol Yetzer Machshavos Hu Mevin. The Rebbeinu Shalom knows what makes us tick. The Rebbeinu Shalom knows our motives for everything that we do. So if we want our service to be pleasing to the Rebbeinu Shalom, then yes, then our service to the Rebbeinu Shalom has to be tahar and naki. It has to be pure. It can't have ulterior motives in it. We have to be serving the Rebbeinu Shalom for the right reasons. We have to be serving the Rebbeinu Shalom lishma, with an understanding of what our relationship with the Rebbeinu Shalom is, and that we're serving the Rebbeinu Shalom out of Ava. And it has to be naki. It has to be 100% with the pure thoughts and the proper thoughts. Now, I want to stress that when the Ramchal says here that if we fall short of this perfect avodah, and this avodah that's tahar and naki, that our avodah is nemeses and mesueves, that our avodah to Hashem is repulsive. Wait a second, what does that mean? I mean, I'm speaking for myself, but I don't believe for a moment that my service, me personally, that my service to the Rebbeinu Shalom is tamim and is tahar and naki. I wish, but I think I have a long way to go to get there, that my avodah should be tamim, tahar, and naki. So now I just learned this Ramchal, so now I should say to myself, my service to the Rebbeinu Shalom is nemeses and mesueves, it's repulsive, so what am I doing it for? Chas v'chalila, don't think that way. You know when your service to the Rebbeinu Shalom is repulsive? If you're not growing. If you say to yourself, I'm stopping here. You know, avodas Hashem that's tamim, avodas Hashem that's on a higher level than mine, avodas Hashem that demands more of me than what I'm giving now, that's not for me. That's for Kyle Jungelite. That's for the Rav. That's for, the person who's sitting in shul and saying Tehillim and learning Mishnah. It's not for me. Me, I'm a plain guy. This level of service, this level of avodas Hashem is good enough for me. I don't have to learn anything more than that. I don't have to work on improving myself. I don't have to crack open a sefer. I don't have to listen to a shmuz. I don't have to learn any musar. If you do that, chas v'chalila, then your avodah is nemeses and mesueves. Then the Rebbeinu Shalom looks and the Rebbeinu Shalom says, yeah, that's good? For everything that I give you, this kind of avodas Hashem you decided is good enough? No, it's not. It's not good enough. But if a person is doing everything that he can, if a person is striving to grow as much as he can, and he's always thinking, and he's learning musar, and he's learning new concepts, and he's listening to a shiur, and he's listening to a rav, he's reading a sefer, and he's trying to grow, and he's trying to increase his understanding, and he's trying to improve his avodas Hashem, then that's the avodah that the Rebbeinu Shalom wants. Then the Rebbeinu Shalom says, okay, you're growing, you're trying, you're striving. That's not nemesis and mesueves. That's you are where you can be. You're everything that you can be. As long as you're everything that you can be, then the Rebbeinu Shalom will be pleased with that. I wanted to go a little bit further, but this is already longer than I like these pieces to be. So we're going to stop over here. Mirza Hashem, next time we will continue. We'll go a little bit further. Thank you for joining me for this Liman HaMusar, which is so critical, and especially in a time like the time we're living through. Though the efforts that we're putting in to try to strive to grow in Avodas Hashem and Yiras Hashem and Avas Hashem, the schus of that Liman HaTorah, Liman HaMusar, should stand us and Gans Klal Yisrael in good stead. The Rebbeinu Shalom should send Yeshuas and Refuas, and the Rebbeinu Shalom should send Mashiach Tzidkenu, B'mehera v'yameinu. Be well.